One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in its soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit, I'm broken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he paves his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning to everybody. Let's get it in this morning. Shout out to all of you legends, man, in the Breakfast Club. I can't thank you guys enough. Big round of applause to all of you that are a part of the membership program here at the Insane Wheels channel, man. Thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of this. We got some interesting shit. So there's this guy named Destiny. If you guys haven't heard, I'm going to do a little bit of a, I'm going to, do a synopsis and go back a little bit, show you guys a little bit of what he's been saying in the past and all at once. This guy's kind of known as saying the most shocking shit, but on the liberal side, right? And so finally he's being confronted, and we're going to see about this dangerous rhetoric. But before we do that, I want to give you guys a big shout out, man. All of you guys are legends, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the crew, man. Morning all. Who knew that having nothing to do at work would be more chaotic than an emergency system failures? Dear God, is this week over yet? Jesus. Yeah, Road Rage, he's in IT, and he's usually dealing with the biggest shutdowns possible. The guy is always dealing with crazy problems every day. And so that's pretty funny. Fuck it. Going live. Top of the morning, MC family. Good for you and your pops, bro. Much love and respect. Hey, Slim. I appreciate you, man. Yes, I interviewed my father yesterday. It was totally off the cuff. You know what I mean? And so it was really cool. I'm really glad that my father was able to come on to the show. It was actually just off of the up and down vertical live stream, and but we had a good ass time. So yes, we will review all of this craziness here in a second. What's up, Huggy? Good to see you, as well as your boy. What up? As well as Steve. What's up? They are on west side towards the north. Oh shit, you guys are talking some crazy shit down there. What up, Carney? Good to see you, as well as Danny. Man, so loud. Much respect, my man. Good to see you. I usually see you in the comment section. I've been through 4 major hurricanes. It's just another day in paradise. Hurricane is typically the only way I get a day off. Damn, bro. That's fucking crazy, huh? Crazy to think about. Destiny is the queen of cucks. Indeed. As we're going to go ahead and review something real quick. First, if you don't know who Destiny is, I'm going to go ahead and play you basically what he's saying and what he has been saying during right as the first assassination attempt happened on Trump. So let's go ahead and see what Piers Morgan from his YouTube channel, Piers Morgan Uncensored. I'm subscribed. I'm going to hit that like button for the video. All right, let's go and review this real quick and see what is going to be said from Destiny. But before we do, just wanted to let you guys know, just a little, hey, I really appreciate you guys liking the video. It's the #1 metric of all of YouTube. And also hitting that subscribe button down below, man. It helps so much more than you guys understand. Also, if you guys would like to get a shout out during the show, man, we have the donations scrolling down below. Of course, you guys will get a shout out if you guys send anything over there, help out monetarily. The last handful of my episodes have been demonetized. So I am 100%, like the last 4 episodes, I've been like 100% fan funded only. So I very much appreciate you guys. Also, super chats and memberships, man. I made memberships, by the way, as cheap as possible, $2.99 a month. And you guys get the extra Saturday morning live streams, man. We do the Breakfast Club members only live stream. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and see what Destiny has got to say right here.
And I want to go through what you said, and I want to talk to you about this in a hopefully in a calm manner to try and understand what you were thinking.
Right.
So on Saturday evening,
what up, Daniel?
Good
to see you, man.
You said, let me clarify. When I say conflicted, what I mean is I lean
towards
seeing it as a natural extension of the thing Trump and the MAGA kids support. So I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt enough to chastise people celebrating it. You couldn't find it.
Did you guys hear what that was? Basically, he's not going to condemn the crazy shootings here.
To chastise people for celebrating the near assassination of a man who was president of the United States and maybe again?
Absolutely not. Conservatives have completely bled that well dry.
Wow.
And the idea that they, after engaging in the most divisive and most extreme rhetoric that this country has seen in recent history, that they would come on and beg for sympathy, that it's escalated into some kind of violent confrontation is absolutely insane. Even the idea right now of saying, well, if you call somebody a Nazi for so long, it's, you know, what do you expect people to do? I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh call Obama a communist every single day he was on the radio. You've got conservatives that talk about the mRNA vaccines were ways to sneak microchips into us. You've got COVID lockdowns that were done because the government was trying to take all your freedom away. They won't acknowledge anything that happened on January 6th.
We live,
they
baby.
say that the election was stolen and that your country is being taken from you. Like, I don't think anybody should be killed. I don't think anybody should go out and kill anybody. But when you engage in this type of rhetoric and when you turn the temperature...
We always say this. If you say, but after what you had previously said, it means nothing. If you say, hey, I love you, but... what does that mean, right? But what? You know what I mean? No, you don't love me, right? So, I mean, yeah. So let's go and back it up a little bit.
I don't think anybody should be killed. I don't think anybody should go out and kill anybody. But when you engage in this type of rhetoric and when you turn the temperature up over and over and over and over again, there is absolutely no room for you to be shocked or surprised. And there certainly isn't room for you to ask for sympathy.
But Destiny,
Mr. Nunn, good to see you as well as Bob, man. Thank you guys for being here as well as War Gorilla.
I don't have much sympathy about the attempt to chastise people celebrating it. People celebrating the near assassination of Donald Trump. If you can't find it,
dude, it is more than booger sugar. It's definitely Adderall, it's speed, shit like that. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily saying that they're doing speed, but it's definitely some Adderall involved in this. You know what I mean? And live streamers are kind of known for doing it, only because here's the deal: is these guys usually live stream for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and for them, that's how they stay focused, you know, and they're able to read things faster, they're able to pick up on things faster, and I understand it, but I'm just not gonna ever do that. Like I already have too much. I'm already an uplifting. I'm already like active in that regard. Like, you know what I mean? I got a lot of energy, so I don't necessarily need it. Maybe it would make me read better, you know what I mean? But yeah. It's very interesting how they kind of all are on something. You know what I mean?
In you to chastise people who do that. Aren't you just as despicable as the people you just spent the last 2 minutes haranguing?
No, because they've led the way. This is the environment that they've created.
So you think behaving like the people you think are despicable is the correct course of action?
Not about behaving like the people who are despicable would be leading that type of rhetoric. It would be denying every single bad thing. How many times as a liberal?
Oh boy, here goes Destiny on his rampage. Man, I've been missing out. I just drink beer. Hey, that's right, Motonoggin. Shout out to you for being here, man. Thank you for. Also, you know, I also went onto his. I went and watched his show the other, I think 2 days ago or something like that, or yesterday. But yeah, Motonoggin, it's always a great time. I think it was yesterday, but anyways, it's always great watching and hanging out with you guys, man. So anyways, go over there and subscribe over to Motonoggin as well. You know, we're going to be putting together the Insane Wheels network, man. You know what I mean? We're going to do it together, man.
How many times of rhetoric? It would be denying every single bad thing. How many times as a liberal? How many times as a liberal have you been on a show? Not you in general, but like a liberal been on a show and you've been forced to disavow all of the BLM riots, disavow all of the violence and blah blah blah, and then you talk to conservatives about it. January 6th, that was that's good. Flag. Yeah. January 6th. Oh, like
is it really
about January 6th?
That's a great name.
Wait. First off, there's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There is an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives deserve absolutely zero sympathy for anything that happens as a result of their rhetoric. That's it. It's so easy. Like, it's so simple.
Okay, but I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about, but I would say this is the type of person that the internet has broke their brain, thus leaving them with very little empathy for their co-human. I mean, a good, decent father is now dead because of this. He's had his brains blown out because he was defending his wife and daughter. I would hope that you have a little empathy for that.
Let me jump in there because we have a clip of what Destiny has said about that very thing. Let's listen to this.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude, the firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay? Just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am 100%.
I mean, I gotta say, I just found that.
Wow. L take. That was about the biggest L take I've ever heard in my life. Wow. I disavow everything that was stated right there. Absolutely. Yeah, there's no way that you can back that up. We got, holy shit, man. We got Brother Lee sending over $5 to the Cash App, man. Thank you so much. Sincerely, man. Extremely tool bag, man. That's I can't even believe that he would say something to that degree, Can I be part of the network or can I be a black sheep? No. Hold on, Beezer. If you actually want to get a part of it, man, absolutely. Come on, man. Absolutely. Let's get you live streaming and stuff. Absolutely. Let's make it
repulsive, Destiny. Yeah,
I wish that there is no room. There is no room for the hand wringing, and I will not participate in this anymore.
Oh, it's not hand wringing.
The hand wringing. No, it absolutely is.
No, it's just that you are positioning yourself.
So well.
But Destiny, let me explain to you.
Where conservatives can say anything.
No, I'm not a conservative.
They can have any conspiracy theory.
I'm not a conservative.
They can have any plot. They can do anything, and then liberals are supposed to sit here and be like, "Oh my God, it's so tragic."
No, Destiny.
Absolutely not.
Let me explain.
Absolutely.
Let me explain my position because I'm not a conservative. I'm not on either side in your race, right? Here's what I think about what you did.
Yeah,
you'd like to fire off, as you've done so far in this debate, about your fury, how disgusting Republicans are, how inhumane they are, how they never have any empathy, blah, 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 blah. And then you yourself actually are exactly the person that you're describing. Ooh. You are inhuman. You are somebody who seems almost gleeful that a young firefighter with a family, with a wife and children, who he was protecting as he was shot dead.
Right.
He deserved what was coming to him because he went to a President Trump rally, a man who was president of the United States until recently for 4 years and maybe again. You sound almost gleeful, Destin, and I'm sorry. That makes you, frankly, despicable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm gleeful about anything.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think anybody should die. I don't think anybody deserves to die.
Come on.
You want to talk about gleeful? Look at the conservative response to Pelosi's husband when they broke in.
I can answer that.
President 2028. You are so funny, bro. I don't even know if I'll be old enough even then. I have to be 35, right? And I think in 2020, so I'm 29 now. So in 2028, oh my God, I'm going to be just too shy. I'll have to run the next. No, I'm just kidding. I'll run away from office before I do anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. Fuck that. Fuck that. You know what I mean?
I don't care.
I can answer that.
With all due respect, I don't care what your answer is.
Let me answer that.
The reality is that conservatives have been turning the temperature up on the rhetoric. They have been making fun of these types of events for years.
You're the one that turned it up.
To them, now they're looking for sympathy from the liberal side. Absolutely not. It's insane. It's unhinged.
Yeah, what up, Ghost? Good to see you, my man.
And here's the problem. To feel sorry when things happen.
Why should anybody on the right listen to a word of your hectoring and lecturing about how they should behave? And by the way, for the record, the mockery of Nancy Pelosi's husband when he was attacked by an intruder with a hammer was also despicable, right? I can see despicable behavior on all sides, and I'm happy to call it out when I see it. You, however, want to present yourself as this great kind of standard bearer of decency who sees outrageous behavior on the right time and again.
So that's like, here, for instance, like I would hope that people see me as a level-headed, worldview looking dude. You know what I mean? Like I would think and hope that I have some sort of like good decency, you know? Yeah, it would be like me going on to a program like Piers Morgan and then me saying that, you know, people on the left, whatever, if they ended up getting shot and killed, they deserve it. You know, like, I'll make fun of you on Twitter. Like, you guys would even be, all of you guys that support me would look at that and go, fuck, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, why would you ruin this for yourself? And you just threw in the towel right there. Like, you just wanted to just 100% just fuck it. You know what I mean?
Crazy, and is incensed by this disgusting, inhumane behavior. And yet, time and again, since the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, you have displayed exactly the same kind of inhumane behavior. Fuck him about a fireman,
right?
Who is killed because he attends a rally of a guy he wants to vote for.
My issue with the MAGA kids is not that they are not empathetic. My issue is that they support a president that led an insurrection against the United States. I'm not here to.
Hey, so Brother Shadow, it's anybody that's a part of the Breakfast Club, you guys, you know what I mean? Obviously, you guys that want to get a part of live streaming. If any of you guys want to start live streaming, I'm like all about it. Let's get you guys involved. If you guys want to do it, absolutely, I'm gonna support it 100%. And if it's any of you guys, you know, that's what we're gonna do. That's the only requirement is that you want to start or already started. Either way, you know, we're gonna make it happen, dude. It's going to be awesome.
To tone police over their empathy.
80 million people voted for Donald Trump last time around.
That's great. 80 million people voted for a guy that tried to insurrect the government, and it looks like they might try to do it again. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to say. These are the facts on the ground.
No, fuck the firefighters.
So you don't like attacks on democracy. So presumably,
what's up,
you would
Bumper? Good to see you, my man.
unreservedly condemn
Appreciate
the
you as always.
assassination of Donald Trump. Because that's one of the most egregious attacks on American democracy in modern times. Presumably, you will take this opportunity, given you are so determined to protect the integrity of democracy, you would find it absolutely outrageous that someone has tried to assassinate a president, right?
If the other conservatives on this show want to say that it was absolutely outrageous that Donald Trump attempted to coup the government,
I'm asking you.
Then maybe I would.
I'm not going to get on my
knees and beg for forgiveness or show sympathy to conservatives.
I'm not asking for that. I'm asking you to condemn what happened as an egregious attack on democracy. Can you do that?
No, I won't.
No way.
I won't.
You can't do that. You see, so why the hell, frankly, Destiny,
absolutely not.
Why the hell should we...
Wait. Right there, I know what happened right there. So he's asking if he'll condemn the shooting, the attempt on Donald Trump. And listen to what Destiny says right here, guys.
For forgiveness or show sympathy to conservatives.
I'm not asking for that. I'm asking you to condemn what happened as an egregious attack on democracy. Can you do that?
No, I won't. No, I won't.
You can't do that. You see, so why the hell, frankly, Destiny,
oh my
why
God.
the hell should we listen to a word you have to say about...
Why do you think conservatives haven't been listening to a word that liberals have said about anything for 8 years?
Right,
what do you think is going to change?
They?
You think that if liberals come out now and they go, "Oh my God, this was so horrible,"
but here's
they're
my
going to go,
point.
"Wow, that is true."
Wait a second.
Also, like,
Charlie, I'll bring you in at the end of this. I promise you, and you'll get a good chance to respond. But here's my problem, Destiny, with your whole position on this, right? Is that you don't actually have anything inside you that you want the other side to have. You don't have any of the empathy. You don't have any sympathy. You don't care that someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump. You don't care that a young family was killed in the process. You don't actually want the person. You want these other.
So, Josh, go in the description of this video, join the Discord, and send me the clip of it. You know what I mean? Definitely send me it. I'm in there. You know, there's plenty of clips. You can put it in the general chat. You can put it in clips. So you can put it anywhere. And I'll check it out.
Other people to be. And all you do is play whataboutery with every question I give you.
Whataboutism.
And I'm just startled.
It's not whataboutery. We're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about the temperature of this country. Here's a question for the two panelists. What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric? What do they think the answer to that question is?
What percentage could it be that the other side, as we've just heard from Dave Rubin, has spent 8 years calling Donald Trump the new Adolf Hitler, a person who was responsible for the murder of 12 million people, including 6 million Jewish people in a Holocaust.
Get it done.
Last time I checked, Donald Trump hasn't murdered 12 million people. So much as you would like him to be the new Hitler, he's not. But again, for an impressionable young deranged mind.
Hold on. If Piers Morgan is grilling you and getting you and literally making sense, holy shit, man, you really got to rethink your position, dude.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Who has easy access to guns, that can be easily interpreted as an existential threat, said President Biden. Somebody that needs to be put in the bullseye, said Biden.
Okay,
only last week. And guess what? Somebody then comes forward and tries to kill the existential threat.
Rhetoric? Who is engaged in more divisive rhetoric over the 8 years? If you had to guess, if you had to assign a rough percentage,
again, you're playing whataboutery. Again, you're deflecting. Just as Joe Biden did last night. Just as Joe Biden did with Lester Holt on NBC last night. Every time he was asked, "Have you done any soul searching about your own rhetoric, your own ill-advised use of language?" He deflected it back to attacks on Trump, and you're doing exactly the same thing with Republicans.
And I will do the exact same thing.
You say Republicans
you want Biden
you say that they are lacking in
comment when Donald Trump was saying Second Amendment people could maybe do something about Hillary Clinton. Like, no, it's absolutely deranged. The double standard that's being asked here is insane. And you heard both of them say it earlier. How much did Donald Trump's rhetoric contribute to the current environment? Oh, not much at all. Like, no, yeah, I'm not going to say anything to these people. Of course not.
Wow. You see, Destiny, all right. That is absolutely insane. We're just going to leave that right there. Okay. Just real quick. We're going to leave that right there. What we're going to do is see, this was 2 months ago. That was like right after the whole first attempt, the first assassination attempt on Trump. Now, here's a whole different thing. Okay. So remember, guys, if you guys are a part of the members only live stream, guys, you guys will know that we actually watched a debate that was going on regarding the election, the debate. So when we were talking about the debate, there was a whole panel of people that were doing this debate, Andrew Wilson being one of them. But there was another guy on that panel named Rob Noerr, who we're going to be watching this video from. And this was just a couple days ago. Let me see when this is. 2 days ago, he called out Destiny again, and I mean they were on like a Twitter space, and they ended up having a big, conversation. And so Destiny and Rob Noerr know each other. They're on opposite sides of the spectrum, but they've always been kind of civil, and they all kind of like each other, but they all have, they know their worldviews are totally different. But anyways, Rob Noerr, he asked, Destiny, hey, now that it's been some time, I want to see if your position on this is still the same or whatever, and he tries to give him a lot of the benefit of the doubt. So we're going to go ahead and see this right now. This is Rob Noerr confronts Destiny. Let's go ahead and see what has got to be said here.
You said that rioting was the other side of the coin of voting. And as long as the riots were directed at public officials, you just thought that that was the other side of the coin of voting. And now it seems that maybe that's not something you believe.
Assuming you heard some of what's going on and you have some things to say.
No, I didn't hear much. Actually, I don't have much to say. I was actually doing some yard work. I just wanted to say one little question to Destiny. And then I did want to wish you all well on your show. I really hope it does well for you all. So Destiny, my question to you is, it seems the theme of this show was like talking about standards of behavior based on the title. You said a lot of things that I sort of defended after the first assassination attempt, where I thought you were kind of going on tilt. Now we have a second assassination.
He was going on tilt.
I defended a lot of what I thought were jokes that you were telling. I think you make a point that's pretty salient, that there are people that are on the right that make jokes when there's violence against left. So who are they to speak? The one issue, though, that I have that I would just see if you could have some clarity. We're seeing polling now suggesting up to a quarter of Democrats wish that or think we'd have been better off if that assassination attempt was successful.
Wow.
When Pisco asked you point blank after that first assassination attempt, did you want that bullet to kill Trump? Your answer was basically you paused. And then you said you didn't know what you could say on stream. And then you responded, well, the worst thing that could have happened was someone shooting at him and he lived. So I just want to ask you point blank. I know you don't owe me anything, but seeing as how it was Pisco that asked you originally, did you want Trump to be assassinated? And do you think, seeing as how there's so many Democrats that clearly do want that outcome, that you should be more forceful in condemning that if you actually don't believe that?
That's a great question.
I've said multiple times that I don't think anybody should advocate for killing politicians or anybody that is publicly protesting in the United States for any political reason. I don't think that's good ever. And I don't think we're at a point where we should be advocating for that ever. But I mean, failed assassination attempts are a boon for the person who is failed to have been assassinated or whatever. That is a political reality. That's true. I think that's a really bad outcome. And whether or not people are doing things that make other people think that they're going to take the country in a direction that would be catastrophic and would result in more harm than any.
Dude, this is some woman prattle. Just spit it out.
The individual being killed or whatever is an opinion that apparently 25% of Democrats have. It's not I don't feel much sympathy on the conservative side right now, given where we're at as a result of everything they've said. So,
but calling for someone's death is one thing. Saying, well, if it happened, I think that would be a good thing is another. So you're ready to say that you would clearly say, no, had Trump been killed, that would have been a bad thing for this country?
Right.
I don't know if it would have been a bad thing or not. I think that if you were to poll Republicans on whether or not if they think Kamala or Joe Biden being killed, I don't know where they'd be at, considering how many of them believe in satanic death cults or whatever, or QAnon. But I wouldn't call for anybody to be killed. I think that would be really bad. I think it would set a really bad precedent in the United States.
It would be a bad thing and I think that this deserves an answer because
so that's Pisco. So from you guys that watch the members only live stream, Pisco is the one that has the super problem against Andrew Wilson. Like he has like literally every single time it was an emotional response out of Pisco, remember? So this is now Pisco in this chat, in this spaces on Twitter or X now or whatever, you know what I mean? So Pisco's in this whole ordeal too.
Just in terms of where the country is at, if you think that there's like a bunch of a split in the country and a lot of partisan, inner fighting, that kind of thing. And when you're in a situation where you have a lot of crazies, in my opinion, on the MAGA side, I don't think that it does anyone any good to have the democratic process short-circuited.
Yes, that is literally what was said, Hardwire. Yes. No cap. I was waiting to see if any of you guys were going to, catch that. Yeah, that's literally the type of bullshit rhetoric he's spewing right now. Yeah.
Either by Trump or by an assassin's bullet. I think that's not good for this country.
Yeah, and Destiny, I think with you, like I get the whataboutism. I get that there are people on the right that'll be psychotic and deep down would say, yeah, I want our opponents to be killed.
Every
it's certainly
time.
Not me. I've been forceful calling against all political violence.
Actually, what he does best is he actually dodges the question completely and does a whataboutism, spins it back around and tries to make their position look bad when he's supposed to be answering the question on his side. So every time it's well, every time. That's what he's infamous for. I mean, I think one of the first comments on this video is, it's so funny how obvious Destiny's tactics are. He doesn't ever actually make an argument. All he does is try to undermine the opposing argument of discredit the intent of the person making the argument. Yeah, absolutely fucking lutely.
But with you, it's like oftentimes I feel like you say something in the heat of the moment, and then later when you like have a cooler head, you sort of walk back. So like one of the first times I talked to you during the George Floyd riots, you said that rioting was the other side of the coin of voting. And as long as the riots were directed at public officials, you just thought that was the other side of the coin of voting. And now it seems that maybe that's not something you believe. And I think, I don't care. I'm not blaming anyone for what.
Wait, when have I said that's not something I don't believe in rioting?
No, I think you seem to have talked back the riots of George Floyd. You've said, to me, you've said, how could you say that I was for them? I had so many people on the left that were furious of me for sticking up for Rittenhouse. So it seems like you've given a mixed message. I'll ask you point blank. Do you think that rioting is the other side of the coin of voting, as if you did the first time you talked to me about this?
I don't know if I said, if I've ever believed that rioting is the other side of voting. I know that like activism and protesting, and it can be rioting, can be another side of voting, that like activist things like this. Somebody said, Destiny, you've already debated him on this and you already debunked it. Was that not my original quote? I don't remember my original quote.
I could put the original. Yeah, that's fine. Sure, you didn't debunk it. That was the original quote. You said that. But I'll leave you.
He goes, you didn't. He goes, yeah. Destiny goes, yeah, I think it, that if I said that, it was debunked, blah, blah, blah. And then hilarious, Rob is like, no, I got the clip. I got, I can quote you. I got it right here. You definitely did say that. Yep.
Stop the cap.
point I'm trying to make
accusation in that original debate, and you looked it up after. Justin, Just Brandon, can you type?
And you're gonna see how good faith Rob is right here. You're gonna see how good faith he is. Even in this, he's gonna continue to give Destiny the benefit of the doubt on a lot of situations here. Watch.
In my original quote, then. I'm pretty sure what I've said consistently is
Thank
that
you guys
if people
for the
want to
donations,
riot,
man.
I don't think I've
so far,
ever supported private businesses being attacked ever. I don't think at any point at the height of my progressivism, liberalism, whatever I don't think I've ever supported private businesses being attacked.
I think that's fair, Justin, but he's not accusing you of that. I don't think.
No.
Well, I don't know, but then I think I said if you are going to protest, if you are going to riot, I think you can probably make arguments for rioting or being destructive of public property, because at the very least you're directing the anger and destruction or whatever at the public facilities that you feel have failed you. But I mean, in general, rioting doesn't work for a variety of reasons.
That would be kind of a case-by-case basis where you wouldn't necessarily agree as applied in a given situation if you didn't agree with that it were the right means.
Yeah, well, I disagree for several reasons, but not for the moral reason. I would disagree. One is because I don't think it's generally very effective, number one. Number two, I would probably disagree as applied because I tend to disagree on the issues that people are rioting for. But I find it really hard that, like, I mean, what's Finkelstein's favorite fucking example? Is Nat Turner's slave rebellion or whatever? I'm pretty sure they just went and they killed like innocent people there. Like, I don't think they were all slave owners. But it's harder in situations where there are insane injustices to where it's like, okay, well, fuck, maybe in some circumstances I can understand.
No. He's not on the show. You know, I'm reacting to it because there's a whole long laundry list of like bad rhetoric that has been spoken, not only on just this. I mean, Destiny's kind of known for insane rhetoric. And it's kind of becoming, to a head because, I mean, he kind of went to the mainstream and got called out by Piers Morgan, which we just saw. And now we're watching Rob Noerr 2 days ago. Actually, it was 3 days ago, edited and put up the next day, which is, this clip right here. Because it was a whole long ass stream. Anyways, this right here is it's great. I love this shit right here.
That if there was really solid evidence, if it was good evidence,
you would be in favor of January 6th if it were.
Yeah, I think it would be incredibly queer as an American citizen to say that you have a principled stance against insurrection or something, given the foundation of our country. Like, I think that you kind of have to have that baked in a little bit, but it was going to come down to what the issue is.
I just want to give some credit to Rob. I think that Rob is generally very, very against political violence, and I think that this disconnect has to do with a little bit of Destiny's like kind of being incredibly specific. I think Rob is saying at no point is political violence justified.
Correct.
That it's not exactly true that you would say that. I think that there are situations where you would envision it, but it's not useful to talk about them or to say anything other than political violence is never justified. Yeah. Okay. But I think that Destiny's being like, strictly speaking, precisely correct when he says, for example, and I think that I'm not even sure I disagree with him. Like, if the election were actually stolen and we actually had like very, very, very strong proof of that, that to me, isn't certain things justified, right? Don't you understand in the head of a Jan 6er, right?
No, it wouldn't be justified even in that case. Yeah. There are certainly times in history.
I love how Rob is always consistent. This dude right here. Rob is always consistent. And that's one thing I really, really do respect about him. I wish that he would come over to the real conservative side. He's actually a libertarian, but because we need him on our side. Absolutely. He's got a good head on his shoulders for sure.
One time we could say that political violence was justified. There's 10,000 times that people have made that excuse and it wasn't. I think in today's world, because there are so many other options, that even if the worst things that people thought about the election was being stolen, I don't think that justifies rioting. I think morally it's not justified because it's a better chance or there's avenues for sort of fighting through the area of ideas and knowledge as opposed to physical violence. And also strategically, it doesn't apply. And the problem is...
so was the Revolutionary War, was that justified?
Yes, but that was literally declaring war to separate ourselves. If the argument's going...
I might be wrong, but didn't Putin say that he wanted Kamala Harris? Just saying.
To be that,
Well, then was the Civil War justified?
That's like political violence, right?
Well, again, I'll repeat this. Like Piska already gave the answer to this. Yes, you could point to a few times in history where political violence was justified. The situation back then was vastly different than it is today. So we have so much more battles are fought through information now, not so much through physical violence. And the problem is, if I were
exactly, Barbie, and here's something that I'd like to say on this. So she says, I used to vote on party lines, as I've gotten older, I look at what policies are best for me, and what's best for me might not be what's best for you. And absolutely, here's the thing is like anytime I'm doing any sort of vote, I'm not looking actually just at me. Like I actually look as a whole what it's going to do to society. I don't necessarily vote for me and that, what it's going to do for me. I actually vote for what's better for the community, the people itself. That's how I think. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily going to tell anybody else how to vote because that's not my place ever to do. But that's definitely what I do. But the thing is these politicians know that they appeal to their emotion. People at home, they appeal to their emotion and what affects them, right? So that's what they know. The
to say to you, sure, I guess there's a time where political violence will be justified. Every single person with an issue says, yes, and this issue is mine. Systemic racism. See, we can't go through the systems because they're all racist. Therefore, we're justified in violence. All the police are killing unarmed black men so we could light the country on fire. These are things we saw. And when I
pivot, or this is a huge pivot. I'm just curious. Would you agree then that the justification for the Second Amendment to fight against the tyranny of the government, that's a wholly unsatisfying answer?
No, because it's to prevent excesses from the government for where the government would come at you. Secondly,
that's crazy, Josh.
The purpose you would agree that every single time where the government come after you should never use violence, right?
No, not necessarily. Like if you're defending yourself, that's different than proactively going and causing a riot. So, for example,
it wouldn't be like political violence, then it would be kind of like a civil libertarian.
Correct.
Yeah. Here, let me pull up the clip real quick. I'll play this and I'll pull it up.
Right. Okay. So correct. So like if the government comes into your house to take your children away because you're practicing Judaism, yes, you have a right to use those arms to defend yourself.
Okay, the government wants you to leave your house, so they cut off all the utilities to your
block. That's the kind of problem I'm having.
It's more that would be more of a case for self-defense than something such as I think the election was stolen. And the problem is and again,
okay, real quick, we're gonna move something over real quick just to do a little fact checking on my side. All right, so this is off of Fox 7 Austin 2 weeks ago, only 14,000 views, of course.
President Vladimir Putin weighs in on the upcoming U.S. presidential election, saying he would support Democrat Kamala Harris in November.
It was a very odd statement, appearing to be a joke he made during the Eastern Economic Forum.
At the event, Putin suggested he would take President Joe Biden's advice about urging all allies to support Harris. Some audience members laughed at the comments, including the session moderator. Putin also commented on Trump, saying he had imposed more sanctions on Russia than any other president, adding he hoped Harris will refrain from doing the same.
Yep. Now, I can play the actual quote Putin does, but I don't think any of you guys understand Russian anyways. But I think you get the point. But yeah, so anyways, that was actually said and done. Let's go ahead and move it back over. Boom.
In Destiny, get to the specifics of this. You may misremember what you said, and I sympathize with the fact that you're probably somewhat hyperbolic just because it gets more clicks, and I think it's somewhat in who you are. I'm sort of the same way, and you're speaking 8 hours a day, damn near every day. So you're going to say stuff that maybe flies off the cuff sometimes. That's not.
I respect Rob for this right here. He's always giving him an out. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. He's such good faith. Absolutely. But
that's wise right, stuff. But when I hear over and over, like the first time I talk to you, I'm saying things like, hey, maybe it's a conspiracy theorist in me, but I think that these Democratic mayors and governors are allowing these riots to occur. You say that's not a conspiracy at all. That's what's happening. And rioting's the other side of the coin of voting.
What up, Garrett? Good to see you, my man. Always a pleasure to see you, kind sir. Thanks for being here, and thanks for hanging out with us, man.
He did. I have the clips. I mean, he said that stuff, and then later when it's or we could have, there's a litany of examples like this where this stuff was said, and it only matters to me because I think some of your audience, just like some of my audience, just like some of Pisco's audience, and others, some of the audience is pretty impressionable. So I've seen people send clips from your Reddit, Destiny, that's like, well, since the Supreme Court,
absolutely true, Barbie. Yep. Let me answer this real quick. She says, but you might want to think is what's best for your community. Your community might not agree. Your local community might, basically think different than your state community or your country community. Absolutely. Hence why it's all regional. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I also urge people to not just ever, you guys have never heard me just, talk only about, the president, how we can only vote for that. No, absolutely. I'm all about local government. I think that we all should be involved, because the thing is if I put my vote in and I'm doing it based off of what I think is going to better the community. And then let's say my vote wins, essentially. Well, that means everyone else agreed with that worldview, right? That's essentially what I'm getting at. So absolutely, it's 100% different from what I'm going to feel over here in, let's say, rural Alabama compared to Southern California, Los Angeles, right? That's two different, completely different environments. It's true. And I understand that. And hence why worldviews clash a lot of the times, because people are actually doing what they think is best. I truly believe that people are trying to just do what is best for the country. I think, honestly, that's true. Hence why I like to be able to do what I do, to be able to show, hey, like, maybe that worldview ain't the correct view. Look at the big picture. Maybe the guy in rural Alabama is right about a worldview. You know what I mean? And the only way we can do that is by talking about it, right?
Basically made Trump God emperor. We tried to use the legal avenues. So now maybe it's appropriate to go outside the scope of that. And I just think it's playing with fire. It's cool. You want to make jokes about Corey Competore? I think they fucking suck, but you have the right to do that. I'm not going to clutch my pearls over it. Man. But when you're specifically asked by Pisco, not by Piers Morgan or someone you could give two shits about, but by Pisco, and you're like, but clearly you didn't want the bullet to kill Trump, right? And you're like, well, man,
that sounds good right now, Garrett. Man, maybe I might partake. I listen. I'm a biker, not a choir boy. You know what I mean?
That sets a very bad precedent, particularly if your first spaces here is going to be about standards for behavior.
Listen. I first of all, I think the space is a little broad, and that has to do with I agree. There's something about standards of behavior, but I do want to say I agree, Rob, in the sense that I think the correct answer is it would be the worst outcome. But I don't think that we should conclude from his answer, which is a little bit more equivocal, and he was kind of thinking it through out loud in real time and trying to work it out in his head.
Yeah, you only live in your local community. Hence why, what's cool about someone like me is I've lived kind of both sides of the coin. I kind of have a little bit more of like actual experience, anecdotal experience, which is my own. And, so I kind of got a little bit more experience in that. So I kind of understand both sides of the coin. You know what I mean? So yes, you only live in your local community, but someone like myself who understands both sides, that's where I kind of win, That's what I would say about that.
I don't think that we should conclude from that he wanted violence to happen to Donald Trump or that he would encourage it. And I do think that, you're going to find some crazy BGGers for sure. But are you going to find Destiny encouraging violence, political violence in his clips? I don't know about that either.
Well, let me be clear. Yeah. The only reason I would agree to talk to anyone is I think there has to be a precursor agreement that we're not going to call for violence against the other or for their politicians, whatever. So I defended Destiny and think, for me, I have a bias that I stream because I'm entertained by it, and I don't want to talk to people that I think want me to be harmed or want to call for violence. So I gave the benefit of the doubt that that's not what Destiny was doing, and that's why I
Faith. See how good Faith Rob is? I mean, dude, he's such a good dude, man.
Just asked for him to clear it up because that was the only comment that I heard in the aftermath of that. Look, I think that I sympathize, as Gary. You know, Pisco, of conversations I've had. When Pisco asked me, Rob, will you say if Trump wins, you'll condemn him using FISA warrants illegally to spy on his opponents? And I say, fuck you, Pisco. I'm not going to, I don't owe you anything because you didn't say shit to my level that I thought was appropriate when that happened against Trump. So when Destiny says to Piers Morgan, I don't know you shit, when Piers says, well, you condemn this, I get that. I actually sympathize with that. But when you asked him, that's different. And that's the one time that my eyebrows raised where I was like, I'm still giving Destiny the benefit of the doubt, but I just wanted to hear it from his own mouth. Look, I was heated in that moment. Yeah, okay, maybe I was being a little jokey or whatever, but clearly I wouldn't want to.
I'll listen to this again afterwards. I'm just, because I can only read the transcript because I can't listen to you guys are talking, but I'm just reading the transcript. That's affecting political change like this is fine. Like, that's part of the goal. Like, activism and riots are one side of the coin, and the other side is voting, like bringing awareness to issues like this, and attempting people to vote differently is part of the goal, right? So I can listen to this afterwards. It doesn't sound like I'm defending like violent rioting, burning down cities. It sounds like I'm talking.
But let me be clear. You specifically say you're against the burning down of private property. I've never accused you otherwise.
Wait. What were you just saying that my quote was about then?
Your quote
about the precinct.
It's about the precinct. It's about the public buildings. You said there. You just read in that quote.
Wow,
you said that,
we got brother Straight Jacket over here, man, sending dollar dues over to the Cash App, man. Thank you, kind sir. Yes, sir. We got dues up in the building, man. I appreciate you, brother Straight Jacket. Thank you.
Like activism and rioting's the other side of the coin to voting. And what you made it clear, you're not talking about burning down someone's private building or looting, but you are talking about the public institutions that were being attacked. And you said, yeah, that's sort of the other side of the coin to voting.
Wait, when have I ever said, first of all, that's when you say, yeah, that's the other side of the coin of voting. Like I'm saying that, like, yes, every time you vote, you should also burn down a police precinct or whatever. Is not, that's a bit of a false equivalency.
Morning,
but number two, wait, when have I ever said anything different to this?
But that's your quote. What did you mean by that then? What do you think you meant when you said rioting and activism is the other side of the coin of voting? What do you think you meant when you said that?
Well, I'm saying the coin and the other side is voting, like bringing awareness to issues like this, and attempting people to vote differently is part, and getting people to vote differently is part of the goal. If we're looking at it in a political calculus, I
can interpret it one of like, I think 3 ways. The first one is I could say that this is what happens when like voting systems are ineffective. That could be a commentary, like not necessarily a normative thing, but him just explaining what occurs in the absence of like proper, responsiveness to the electorate. He could be saying that it's possible.
Hell yeah, Still Down is back. Welcome back. He's taken he worked for about 3 minutes, and he's back for more Insane Wheels, man. You know what I mean? So I'm talking about
in certain situations.
Lit.
Though maybe not necessarily in this one, political violence, if there's a certain level of urgency or a certain level of, like he just mentioned, the slave rebellion. Or third, he could be saying, actually, I do agree that they should have burned down, or it was okay or not wrong for them to burn down the police building in Minneapolis. Of those 3, Stephen, I guess, which one would you most align with, or something else?
You know what? Give me like 2 minutes. I'm just gonna go listen to it. Hold on.
And let me just say, like, I think this is a bit of.
So now Destiny's gonna go listen to what he said. But you got to remember, it's on an 8-hour live stream. So Destiny's gonna step away for a minute, and the guys in the space are still gonna go continue on their conversation. So now you've got Destiny, who basically muted that, and then now he's gonna go listen to it and try to find it.
To stretch though, Pisco. Like, for example, let's say you called into my show January 7th, 2020, and you're like, holy shit, Rob, did you see that stuff that happened yesterday?
Exactly,
and I said,
Steve.
Well, sometimes violence and rioting are the other side of the coin of voting, and, you have to bring awareness to the issues you're talking about. Would you have given me the benefit of the doubt to be like, oh, what Rob's talking about's in the abstract? Sometimes, no, you would be like, dude, we're talking about this specific incident. I call in and I'm talking to Destiny about, it's like literally the day 4 of the George Floyd riots. That's what we're talking about. And that's the context of him making that comment. Now, I understand that my interpretation, he said, if it goes later, he's like, if it goes on a little, I said, how long could this be allowed to go on? He's like, any much longer, and I would be against it, which he does say that. And I've been clear the whole time. He never said he supported.
Rob, it doesn't matter for Rob. For Rob, he don't care if it makes him look good, if it makes his position stronger. He doesn't lie. He will sit there and go, hey, this is what it is. And if he says it, man, that's exactly how I hope I am for you guys too. Like, if I say it, I absolutely 1000% mean it. And and I don't care if it makes my position look good or not. I'm going to just go based off of fact, right? And that's something that I love to do.
Burning down private businesses. But for someone like me, whose issue was, listen, they're not just burning down private businesses. It seems that they're using sort of the threat of violence and actual violence occurring to sort of try to make some sort of political movement. And we should condemn those efforts of violence. And I see almost every institution in this country either downplaying, make excuses for, or celebrating that violence. And when Destiny says, like, well, that's the other side of the coin. And as I said, he can check the transcripts. By the way, where's the loser that said this was debunked? Where you at?
Thanks for showing up, man. We'll see you on the flip side. Have a, good and safe one. And hopefully we'll see you on the next one, man.
Asshole. Man, some of you DGGers, you're such sycophants. You can't even call.
All right. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Listen, my recollection is it's possible Destiny made that statement, and it's possible he meant that, and it's possible also to change your mind. I mean, like, I don't know because I'm not watching the video right now. It could be that he was saying it was justified, but very clearly, and in a short amount of time, he said all this shit needs to stop, and he got banned on Twitch for doing so. And so I will, if he said that, I don't agree with it. And I'm sure that I would have challenged him on it. And I think that the analog to January 6th, though, I think, and I don't know if you agree with this, Rob, actually, that January 6th was way worse. And one could make a distinction based on the magnitude of.
That's so funny, Steve. But this shit is entertainment. It's awesome entertainment, though. This shit is great.
Harm or potential harm to our democratic institutions and distinguish them that way. I do agree that there's a potential to have a hypocrisy there, but I think in short order he was very much against the violence of BLM and supporting Joe Biden, who was against the violence, which was also not just private, also public. And so, if he said it, I disagree with it.
Here's the deal. I don't, obviously all of us, if you're any kind of human, you're going to be fallible, you're going to make mistakes. And I think it's actually a good trait to later admit, like, hey, I've changed my mind on something. Now, not everything.
What's crazy, guys, okay, so I see a lot of people in here haven't seen this guy before and stuff like this. To give a little context, so, I was the first generation and beginning of where live streaming started. I was that crew. And then there was these multiple waves that were coming through, year by year by year, Anyways, it's actually fairly a small circle that started back then. And we all kind of know each other. And so Destiny grew up, live streaming video games like I did. And we were all kind of in the same circle. All these guys I somewhat know, And so that even makes my position more credible because I even know the people. And I actually, believe it or not, I'm not going to cap here. I actually like Destiny's content. I actually am entertained with it, because for me, I actually love watching the opposition side and then I can debunk it, or I can go, I agree with this. I don't agree with this. Here's my worldview, whatever, you know what I mean? But we all kind of knew each other in that circle of streamers back then. And so, Destiny was definitely, one of the older crew that he wasn't the beginning crew or nothing, but he was definitely right around there.
If you constantly flip-flop on everything, then you probably don't have a good core reason for it. But of course, we should give some, exemption
you wouldn't see that,
everyone's going to change their mind
These
on
are
something.
Civilians.
But calculations of things like political violence are different. I think that it should be easy to universally condemn this sort of stuff. And for me, it comes across.
Rob's right. I would think that it would be easy to condemn this kind of shit. I would think that would be a no-brainer, but Destiny is just fighting it, man.
Sometimes it's hollow when I see people. Obviously, I'm biased as someone who comes from the right wing, and I think that we've seen far more political violence on the left since 2016. But nonetheless, it could occur on the other side as well, and I'll admit that. In fact, I was talking to a defense attorney last night, and we were talking about the Tyreek Hill situation. I think it's funny that you'll have so many people on the right that are like, if the FBI knocks at your door, tell them to F off and don't give them any information. But when Tyreek Hill winds up his window, people are like, well, you should just cooperate. He got what was coming. I get that frustration. It's like, seems to be somewhat of a contentious issue, a little tension there. So when I hear Destiny repeatedly, in a moment, say violence, and then later be like, well, that's not what I really meant.
Right.
Probably, I think that he was being hyperbolic in the moment when he said that, but
oh man, the good faith. The amount of good faith on Rob's side is unreal.
Doesn't come across as a good trend as far as I'm concerned, particularly when I think that one of the core strategies that your side has and that's argued about quite often on you, Josiah, and Destiny spaces are sort of the rhetoric and sort of the dangers of what MAGA stands for. When your rhetoric, why isn't that same standard applied to your side? For God's sake.
I think it's I want to let Stephen respond for sure, but I just want to be clear. I think any comparisons of rhetoric, it's not even close, in my opinion, in terms of MAGA
You're right.
and mainstream Democrats or Destiny. I think that's an absurd comparison. I want to let Stephen respond.
Oh, if he's ready. How could you say that? It's not even close. So wait,
very easily say that. Yeah.
So for example, if I would say the people that have Rhetoric. We're talking about rhetoric that could possibly incite someone towards acts of violence, correct?
And this is, so Yowzer, yeah, I believe that to be absolutely true. But what Rob is going to get at right now, is that rhetoric is fucking dangerous, though. You know, and you got a lot of people that are actually watching you. You have a responsibility when you have a platform. You know what I mean? You got a lot of people that follow you, and a lot of them being children. They're that's an influential bunch. And so, though he may be joking, maybe the 14-year-old kid doesn't think he's joking and gets radicalized. You know what I mean? Like there comes a point where it becomes dangerous, right? And so essentially that's what Rob is going to get at right here.
Rhetoric. We're talking about rhetoric that could possibly incite someone towards acts of violence, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. I would say that for people on the left thinking that the former president and possible future president is a Nazi would have to be very high up there, or thinking that he would end democracy as we know it would have to be very high up there as far as like insightful rhetoric, whether it's true or not. Just rhetoric that could inflame passions that would cause. I would think saying that the Supreme Court
no way you believe this. You think about,
man, how dare work, Papa? Like, you know what? Let me speak to the bosses. No, man, we're not allowing this during this show. Absolutely not. I expect that you have an uninterrupted whole 2 hours. You know what I mean? That's what I expect. Let me speak to the boss, man. I'll speak to him.
But the focus on Democrat messaging has been completely on voting, completely on turning out to vote. 100%
That's not true. The number one attack against Trump is he's a threat to democracy.
It's true. I'm going to say it because it's true.
What does it matter if it's true or not? We're talking about whether or not it could be insightful.
It's possible that some people, I'm not saying that it's impossible, some people could be incited to violence based on that rhetoric, though keep in mind, though, I'm using the term incite in the more broad sense, not the legal definition of incitement.
I understand that, and
clear about that.
We're going to disagree on whether it's true or not, right? And so this is the problem I see. You'll point out Trump rhetoric, and people on Trump's side will say, "But that's true. Democrats do want to take your guns. Democrats do want open borders. Democrats do hate white people, or they hate Christians."
Let's talk about that. So you tell me the truth. Do you think that the statement about the Haitians being rapists, illegal immigrants, stealing pets, eating cats and dogs, that kind of thing, would you put that on probably similar levels, much, much, much lower? Trump is a threat to democracy. How do you view those things in comparison to each other?
I would say that in the context of one's against a public figure, I put less harm on it. So attacking a public figure, I actually think is like, if, for example, if I was to say Nancy Pelosi is a Satanist, right? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying hypothetically. That's probably less egregious than saying my neighbor's a Satanist or my neighbor's.
You understand how ridiculous this sounds when like Donald Trump is literally calling Joe Biden a threat to democracy, literally calling them Comrade Kamala, calling them communists. Like,
let me finish.
Come on.
So I'm sort of. You do this all the time. Like I'm kind of trying to like give an olive branch to you, and you step on my toes. So yeah, in that context, like if you're an individual Haitian, like you're just some random person, like being smeared like this, whether it be true or not, would be more harmful, and in ways it's more egregious. However, in the context of politics, I think that if I'm an objective, like neutral person, and I don't like either candidate really, let's just say hypothetically, and I think one candidate, I'm like, it's bad. He's saying that Haitians are eating cats. Right. And on the other hand, I'm like, I think it's bad that they're literally calling Trump a Nazi lover and Hitler. Like, for example, the Fine People hoax, probably one of the most insightful, dangerous hoaxes in the history of this country. Yeah. What would you really do if you thought the president of the United States literally was saying, I like Nazis?
He was literally equivocating, and you know this to be the truth, that there was no, and you're going to point to like one hearsay person. No,
it's not a debate necessarily, Rebecca. It's them just discussing in a Twitter space. This is what happened, I guess, 3 days ago and put up 2 days ago as a clip, which is what we're watching right now. They're not debating necessarily. They're just old friends that talking over. They're just having a conversation. So there's no debate here.
No confirmation that person is there. The notion that there were fine people on both sides is an incorrect notion. And the fact that he gives a self-serving cleanup statement afterwards is par for the course for Donald Trump. And
he did not. Look, how many speeches did he give after Charlottesville where he referenced it?
where he referenced fine people?
How many speeches did he reference the Charlottesville?
I have no idea.
Well, let me educate you, since you've apparently bought the hoax. He gave 3 speeches. He gave one speech, I believe it was the night of or the night after. And in that speech, he said,
Steve.
Much like you heard Democrats say anytime there's an assassination attempt, which seems quite frequent against Republicans at this point, they'll say,
oh yeah, that's definitely what they do, Rebecca. That's fact.
All rhetoric needs to calm down on both sides. And we love this country and hate doesn't apply. We won't accept
it. You hate it when Dems do it, right? You hate it when Dems do it?
No, not necessarily. I think that what I hate about the Democrats is they consistently blame right-wing rhetoric when a right-winger does something, but when a left-winger does it, they say both sides need to tone down the rhetoric. That's been the standard since the Gifford shooting, and then we saw the Steve Scalise shooting. All of the Democrats during the Gifford shooting said, Bernie Sanders was fundraising off of it. Right-wing rhetoric is making it so it's not even safe to walk down the street as a Democrat. And
the fucking Bernie Sanders voice, dude. No way. Fucking Rob is a savage. I gotta hear that shit again, dude. That was great.
Democrats during the Gifford shooting said, Bernie Sanders was fundraising off of it. Right-wing rhetoric is making it so it's not even safe to walk down the street as a Democrat. And then when a Bernie supporter shoots Republicans and Steve Scalise, all of a sudden when Nancy Pelosi's asked, do you blame your rhetoric? She goes, how dare you? She yells at the journalist. How dare you imply that? In fact, it was Trump's rhetoric, we were told, or Republican rhetoric that was responsible for the Republican ball field shooting. And the difference is this is coming from people in positions of power. Yes, Trump's in a position of power, but overarchingly, these institutions such as journalists, etc., they repeat this rhetoric, which is fine. I'm not blaming them for stochastic terrorism or anything. But how can they get on their high horse then and blame Trump and couples for his rhetoric? So much so we have Lester Holt the day of another Trump assassination attempt, and his monologue that day is like, assassination attempt of Donald Trump. This comes days after he incites violent rhetoric against Haitians. Like, get the fuck out of here. If that was a Democrat that was just an assassination attempt, do you think for a second?
The Haitian thing is absolutely insane.
It's not that insane.
Yeah. It's not insane.
It's not that insane. What it is he's talking about there is a problem.
So hear out Rob on this. Okay? Just hear it out. All right? Just hear it out.
It's not insane.
It's not that insane. What it is he's talking about there is a problem there. There are crimes that are going up because Haitians, there are resources that are being taken. There are people in Springfield, Ohio, Charleroi, Pennsylvania, and other places that are being inundated with mass fluxes intentionally by this administration of people from foreign countries that have significant differences from us. But what happens is the same thing that's happened with Trump since 2016. He'll talk about something that's a kernel of truth, but he unfortunately listens to people that he's following on social media.
Kernel of truth to his claims about Haitians eating pets.
Let me finish. I believe there's a kernel of truth about sort of things that are going on, crimes that are occurring with Haitians. There were public. Please let me finish. There were public claims of people that were publicly claiming in town council meetings and elsewhere on social media that there were pets that were coming up missing and possibly being eaten by Haitians. What happens is Trump takes something that no one gives a shit about the people of Springfield, Ohio. No one. You didn't. The Democrats didn't. Harris didn't. Biden might, but he's just concerned about eating ice cream or porridge or whatever. He's at least talking about it. His team's at least talking about it. JD Vance is right.
Wait. Why? Just because you care? Wait. Why would we ever think that repeating claims made in a city council town hall thing or whatever, why is that acceptable?
Why not? Why is it acceptable?
Because you have no evidence. Because you have no evidence of them, right?
Well, no. I think I agree with you. If we're talking about best possible practices, it's difficult to say anything until you have definitive proof.
No. Hold on. You generalize that so much. Also, hold on. Before I go down this road, just real quick. What was your claim that what I had said in this debate or whatever that we had 4 years ago?
I said that you said some of the following things. You said that rioting was the other side of the coin of voting. You admitted at one point. I said, I think. Okay,
so at the end of this debate, I'm saying that if people feel like their voices aren't being heard and they're trying to get legislation passed or whatever, that activism and rioting might be the other side of that. I don't think in this debate you asked me about riots and what they're going on. What's happening right now. 3 minutes before that quote, I tell you that there's been way too much right now. That there's been the riots against private businesses aren't okay. But I'm just describing.
You keep going back. Let me be clear, Destiny, for the millionth time. I have never once, to my knowledge, ever accused you of saying riots against private property was okay. What I was talking about was it seemed that you were delineating, which is good. It is bad to riot against private property, but you seem to be speaking in the real moment, like day 4, whenever we had this discussion of the Floyd riots. You were like, well, Sometimes rioting's the other side of the coin to voting. Now that seems like an equivalent, and you're like, clearly I don't mean the private property. And it sounds to me—
wait. But when I say it's the other side of voting, this is basically the equivalent of that MLK quote, that rioting is the language of the unheard. That, yeah, people feel like, and that's what we're talking about. Because at the end of this, right after, I ask you, like, well, do you think legislation is going to get passed? Do you think that people feel like their voices are being heard? Do you think something's going to change or whatever?
So it sounds to me like you're giving some sort of credence to the idea that the ridings will accomplish something good, or that there was justification for the riots.
Something, yeah, they can. But I mean, we all agree with that, right?
Well, let me rephrase. All right, fair enough, right? But it seems that you're giving some sort of lip service to a justification of riots, saying, well, maybe it'll get legislation passed. Maybe this is a way to raise awareness.
Earlier, though, that the rioting that's happened so far, there's been too much. It's not good.
Against the private, you were talking specifically about the private businesses.
Sure, correct? But I don't know. We don't go over any explicit like attacks against any public infrastructure here to see if I agree or disagree.
But it seems like in a world where we both understand, like, for example, this is coming right off 2-3 days after the burning down of a police precinct. When we're having this conversation and you are the one who brings the delineation, you're like, well, clearly I'm against rioting of private property. The obvious inference there is you're differentiating private property from public property. And then when you go on to say, well, sometimes it's the voice of the unheard, or it's the other side of the coin to voting. It seems to any objective person that's listening, it seems that Destiny's saying, like, well, if you have to riot to get your voice heard, at least make it against public things, and sometimes that can raise awareness. Is that unfair?
This is a 2-hour conversation. If you have to infer that much from one comment, you're probably in the wrong.
So,
right? Like, this is a 2-hour conversation. I don't know if I ever justify any individual attack.
Here it comes. Go ahead. I'm just going to pause it for you so you can do what you're going to do. Stream sniped. Yep, feels good. Yep, I saw that coming.
I think I just say, or I know I do just say, because I just listen to all this sort of shit. At the end, they're like, yeah, activism and rioting are the other side of the coin. And historically, in the United States, yeah, there have been activists and there have been riots or whatever. I don't know which ones I would support or which ones I wouldn't. We go over specific details. We don't go over a specific one in this conversation, but it's a 2-hour conversation. Why would you take where I'm just describing at the end that people riot or whatever because they feel like they're going to have legislative changes or whatever as some kind of justification for me for why riots happen? This is a thing that happens.
Because if you asked me to condemn violence from like Charlottesville, I'd say absolutely I condemn the violence. I wouldn't say, well, any violence against private individuals would be wrong. However, sometimes violence the other side of the coin to voting, and it can raise awareness issues. And do you think we'll get some legislation?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that in response to, do you condemn the firefighter or the whatever police thing from you? I didn't say that in response to that. Do you even ask me in this debate to condemn or to have a stance specifically on the?
Yeah, but the truth is, I understand this aspect of it, but the truth is whatever does happen here does affect the rest of the world. Hence why so many people are interested in American politics, because it really does actually affect the rest of the world. If Kamala gets in versus Trump, it does change the political atmosphere and the people that we have allies with and stuff.
The fire or on the police station?
I don't know if I use the words I'm asking you to condemn, but I'm clearly talking about the riots that we see happening at that time, which those riots were like in
but wait, if you say you clearly see the riots happening at the time, I say in here that, yeah, the way too much has happened. This isn't acceptable. It isn't good. But then we're talking about whether or not, funnily enough, a conversation we just had like an hour earlier, you were asking me, like, why are they letting cities burn? And my responses in this debate were, well, I think that cops just can't manage everything immediately. You can't just send in a bunch of cops. Things will escalate. Like, that's probably why it's happening. So it's not like I'm championing even.
You also directly said, when I said, I think that these governors or mayors are allowing this to occur, you said, absolutely, that's not a conspiracy at all. That's what you said.
Good to see you, Dwayne.
Wait, yes, but I say that in that they're allowing it to happen because it's like part of the police
de-escalation, like,
yes, because that's what we argue about, like, immediately after.
I'll go back and look at the quote. I thought I specifically said that they were allowing it to occur because
I don't know how much De Blasio city burning, but I'm pretty sure riots are being okay. You said, I will be happy to have that soundbite that you're admitting that De Blasio is allowing his city to burn because he thinks, and then I say afterwards, I don't know how much De Blasio is allowing his city. But I'm pretty sure riots are being allowed to burn to some extent in every major city because you can't just send in the cops and the National Guards to destroy everybody and get everything. You have to let people like burn themselves out, not a little, right? And then you said, well, I just think that's outrageous. I think it's up. Would you say? And then I'm just making
it seems like he's just going into kind of like semantics. I mean, semantics can be important, absolutely, but Destiny's kind of just evading here.
Okay. So and Rob, this is going to bring it back to the actual conversation. I appreciate that you're trying to like get a statement on from Destiny in the past. And I understand people are frustrated because it's kind of turned into a cross-examination of his previous statements. But I would like, if we can, we're about to transition to closing it out. We're closing at 5. But here we have a situation that we were just talking about where there's a tactic that you're saying is deplorable, that is letting these things burn out or taking a kind of not immediately violent approach to some of these protesters. Yes. Didn't Donald Trump preside over this? Doesn't Donald Trump also face some kind of culpability for the BLM and letting it get out of hand? If you're going to say that it was deplorable to let these cities burn out, that it's a national problem sufficient for you to bring it up, 4 years later all the time, like, isn't it also his responsibility for failing to take federal action against a national problem?
Well, what was going on was, I believe I say in that quote with Destiny, I don't have the transcript in front of me, that I think that the Democrats are allowing this to occur because they see it as politically advantageous. My theory on that is they wanted Trump to be the dictator that they constantly claimed he was. So what would have happened, as you well know, is once he requested to send the National Guard in, and all these Democratic places like in Kenosha said, no, we refuse to have it, they wanted him to then have an emergency declaration that would have forced it in beyond them so that they could have said, see, he's a dictator. Is
there a single statement from any lawmaker, anybody, anywhere, any kind of statement that even implies that?
It implies that they were refusing to accept the National Guard.
That implies that they were hoping he would do it so that they could showcase how corrupt he was.
Well, of course they didn't say that. I'm saying that that's my theory, that what was going on.
You have evidence for that theory?
Yes, I have evidence for that theory because they allowed this violence to occur over and over again when they clearly had a police force. No, he didn't. Let me finish. Right? They allowed it when they clearly had a domestic police force. Then when Trump suggested using the normal means that you would use, which was requesting that they allow the National Guard to come in, they turned it down. For example, in New York, I don't read minds, though it is funny. This is coming from the group of people that think that Donald Trump engaged in an insurrection, claiming that they know when he was saying, let me finish, when he said, be peaceful, that he really meant be violent.
Wait, why would he refuse the National Guard? Why wouldn't the governor just say, fine, bring them in, and then say, look at what Trump is.
Capitalistic state, Steve. Absolutely.
That's a great question. Why didn't they? Because if they accepted the help, if
people that are making money on corporations aren't bitching about it, right? You know what I mean? That's usually how that goes. Just the way it goes.
They accepted the help, then it would be hard to call him a tyrant. But if he sent them in against their wishes, then they could say he's mobilizing the military against domestic people. These are people protesting against racism. And Donald Trump is a racist and an authoritarian who, against the wishes of local government, is sending in the military. That would have been the argument. And that was the argument you would have made.
Well, you'll never admit this, but this is an all roads lead to Rome fallacy, because if they would have allowed the federal government, or they would have allowed the National Guard to come in, they would have only needed one bad thing to happen. And if one federal officer would have killed one citizen, then the Democrats would say, wow, look, the federal police are so horrible under Donald Trump. And then you would have said, see, that's exactly why they allowed Trump to mobilize the National Guard, because they knew that at least one bad thing would happen. And now they're going to blame Donald Trump for it. Like, no matter what they do, you're going to say there was a
That's not true at all. That's not true at all. And in that world, like, it's very difficult to liken one bad person in the National Guard that takes a heinous action when he's been requested in by a Democratic mayor and sent by Donald Trump.
Just to check, didn't this literally exactly happen? Weren't there cities where there were National Guard people deployed and some people were quote unquote disappearing and people blamed Trump for it? Didn't this actually happen?
But it didn't stick as much.
You can't say yes, but that means that what you just said was wrong. How can you agree with that statement?
That's not true, right? What happened was...
See, Rob, what's crazy, Beezer, I know what you're getting at. Rob and Destiny both are very they're both intelligent people, plain and simple, you know what I mean? And so they are both very good at debating their side. As much as I don't like Destiny's position, and I don't care for it, and I condemn, I disavow everything he said. But at the same time, that these guys, man, they both sound like they're on some sort of medication. You know what I mean? Like some sort of Adderall or something, for real, Oh, shit. And we ain't capping out here. We ain't capping out here.
There were places that accepted the National Guard, and there were accusations that the Guard behaved improperly. But did it lead to some huge political calculus against Donald Trump, the likes of what it would have been if he would have sent the military in against the wishes? Because it's obvious, and you can ignore and know that this is again. And not only that, we could. I can even prove it.
Yes.
Let me real quick, Josiah, and then real quick. We actually had
Rob say something, and then Josiah ask your
15
question.
seconds. 15 seconds. We actually have people in the military like Miley and others that were talking about optics being a reason not to send the National Guard in January 6th. The idea that they would have been okay with him overriding the wishes of Democratic governors and mayors if he would have sent them in is laughable. You know, they would have made that criticism. You all.
And also, Rebecca actually is, you know what I mean? Because it will make you a lot of money. If you invest in BlackRock, you will make money. Like, that's kind of what they're known for. And they're one of those forever, like, going up stock.
Personally would have made the criticism that meant he was a tyrant.
But you don't actually have, I want to let Josiah ask, but you don't actually have evidence that was their intent, other than the fact that they didn't request National Guard.
No, if you're asking me if I have the power to get illegal FISA warrants to spy on politicians I don't like the Democrats do, no, I don't have that.
Okay.
You can't.
Cool.
You can't.
Okay, so
boy.
my
can't.
question
No
is,
way.
I could have missed it, but Rob, you were asked if
For
Trump
real.
bared
You're right,
responsibility, if he had some sort of culpability, if he should have sent the National Guard in anyway. And I didn't
He should
hear
have.
yes or no.
Yes.
He did?
He should have sent the National Guard in. Yeah, absolutely. He should have taken.
Even though that's what they wanted, even though it was a bait?
Yes, that's what he should have did. Sometimes being a good leader means that you have to do what's right, even if you know that it'll be used to politically attack you.
Okay.
That's one of Trump's failings. Absolutely will agree with that.
And you know what?
No. That's
one of our show.
You could go, but I'll say real quick. I said it. I lost friends over this because I'm more of like a small government person, and I had friends telling me, "Oh my God, what happened to the Rob that criticized excessive police with us marching in 2004, 2005 against things like the Patriot Act?" I didn't want that. What I wanted was the rioting to stop. I wanted the media to put a focus on how terrible the riots were. I wanted the Democrats to speak up about how terrible they were. I didn't want Kamala Harris to promote a bail fund. I didn't want Democrats to keep saying what needs to keep happening up to and through the election. I wanted local governors and mayors to actually deploy their domestic police force to handle it. But given that all of that wasn't occurring before Rittenhouse occurred, I said, you know what's going to happen? They're setting up the situation where it'll be like North Koreans, where we're going to have Americans shooting other Americans. And I want that to stop at all causes. And so if that means temporarily deploying the National Guard as limited as possible to stop these riots, that's what should occur. And Trump should have
done on January 6th, right? So in January 6th, he should have not listened to,
just
like he should have not listened to.
Absolutely agree. I think that it would have been better for Donald Trump to not listen before January 6th when people like Miley told him not to deploy 10,000 National Guard. He should have went against his wishes, which you and all the Democrats would have said was authoritarian and was, quote, a Reichstag moment, which is what Miley said. And I think even the day of January 6th, he should have gone against what his people that he put on the ground, such as the Sergeant of Arms and the military.
Just to be clear, if he would have deployed them, yes, it would have been authoritarian. The reason that he gave was authoritarian. He said that he wanted the National Guard people there to protect his people.
That's fine. So what?
He didn't say no. Because the National Guard isn't supposed to be deployed to the Capitol to protect rioters at the Capitol. It's supposed to be deployed to protect the Capitol. When Donald Trump said that he wanted 10,000 troops there, he said he wanted them to protect his people.
The reason that he was saying that was because people like you on the left exhibited over and over again that when Trump and MAGA people got together for political purposes, oftentimes they were attacked by outside agitators. This occurred over and over and over. See Portland with the Patriot Prayer people that were constantly attacked. So Trump was worried that his people were going to come peacefully make their voices heard, and a bunch of left-wingers were going to come beat the shit out of them, and that happened over and over again. So he said, I want the National Guard there. The idea that had the Guard been there, they'd have been like, oh, we'll allow the MAGA people to storm the Capitol.
It's all red herrings.
It's not red herring.
Originally, you said that you implied that he wanted the National Guard there to protect the Capitol for some noble purpose. He didn't want them there.
Where did I say the words noble purpose?
Brother Code, this is some crazy shit. This is why I'm showing it. Hence why we're going over time on purpose, because this kind of shit, it needs to be spoken about. To be honest, I mean, we've got dangerous rhetoric all over the fucking place.
Because you said that, you guys would have said that if he came there, it would have been for authoritarian.
That's right. You would have.
The flip side would be, and that is if he's planning on having a protest there to protest the certification of the vote because he thinks the election is stolen, and he wants the National Guard there to protect his protesters who think the election was stolen, that's not a good deployment of the National Guard. That's exactly the type of situation that they were trying to prevent.
The Guard should have been deployed anyways. It was only because the downplaying and the false, I would say, intentionality of organizations like the FBI and other intelligence agencies that knew that there was likely to be some conflict there.
The FBI intended January 6th. That is your position, fair?
I believe that they, much like the Whitmer kidnapping case, that they were talking to people that they knew were inspiring people to possibly engage in acts of violence. They had people on the ground. They knew that it was going to occur to some degree. They facilitated that occurring so that they could use an excuse to crack down on people later, just like with the Whitmer situation.
And what's the one single example of evidence for this? One piece of evidence for this?
Well, for example, we can go to the testimony of Capitol Chief Sund, who talks repeatedly about how he requested the National Guard beforehand. He wasn't given proper intelligence.
You said that the federal police, the federal agencies were instigating that. Correct. They wanted this to happen. I said, what's one single piece? Because there are hundreds of thousands of protesters today. One single piece of evidence. Did it come out in any of the Proud Boys or the Oath Breakers testimony, any of their convictions, any of their court stuff? Was there any piece of evidence whatsoever for any of these people that supports the idea that the feds were operating here to instigate this event?
Yes. Ready? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
In those trials, did the FBI testify that they had regular contact with those groups such as Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and elsewise, and knew that they were going to attempt to have an overthrow of the government? Yes or no?
No, I don't think they did.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, so then what did they testify as such?
They tested. Wait. In which trials are you talking about?
So I believe the Oath Keepers specifically, right? Though it might have been with Tario and them and the Proud Boys. There is testimony to the fact that they had people that were aware, and there's statements that they've given, that they heard their insiders that were given, that they planned on possibly bringing guns, and they planned on possibly overthrowing the government to some extent.
What you just said. So the fact that they would possibly have rumors or they have information they would possibly bring guns, that's possible. The FBI, by the way, passed along a threat assessment to a general email. I forget which one it is.
I got to second that right there, Hook Dog. If they're that opinionated, run for office or shut the fuck up. Absolutely.
They were passing along threat assessments. And so I don't understand
what they did was, for example, we know that Miley was doing his own intelligence and had intelligence that later came out that said that he thought that it was going to get violent. The FBI had many threat assessments and many specific assessments. They only set a general one, and that was sent to basically the intelligence person at the Capitol. Let me finish.
The DOD relies on internal, on the FBI and other internal police forces to get their information. General Milley, I think is who you're referring to.
Yes,
he doesn't have he doesn't have his own intelligence agency. He has to rely on things like the FBI.
He was doing, if I'm not mistaken, there were sort of intelligence that he was doing that he was aware of that he was sharing with Democratic senators before January 6th, talking about things that he was hearing from this intelligence gathering that suggested there could be violence that day.
Hold on, wait, stop. I just want to be very clear where we're at right now. I asked for evidence that the feds were instigating this, and this has changed to somebody on a Senate committee heard suggestions that there might be some kind of violence on that day. So let me go back to the original question. Is there any evidence whatsoever that feds instigated any of this?
Well,
any
what happens is, now I know you're used to this, Destiny, someone who's better than you, like Pisco, because he is better than you. Always saving your ass, and constantly interrupting and jumping in. What I'm saying is, if they were aware,
it's the same thing as a white knight. You know, Pisco is a white knight for Destiny. Anytime Destiny kind of like gets pushed in a corner, fucking Pisco comes around the corner. Oh, let me save you. Every time. It's hilarious. But anyways,
if they are aware, listen, I'll answer this in 30 seconds. If they were aware that this stuff was likely to happen and testify to it later, and they did not share that information through the proper sources, only did the bare minimum, to the point where the person tasked with defense, Capitol Chief Sund, said he was shocked at how he got less preparation and less intelligence sharing for this than even normal protests that would occur at the Capitol, then yes, it would show the only explanation is they're incredibly derelict because they knew there was about to be a coup to overthrow the government, but didn't share the information sufficiently with the people tasked with defense, or they wanted it to happen.
Sure. And then what is your strongest piece of evidence that they had a really good idea that this was going to happen?
You could go to the trials of the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, and the communications they had when they used
all the indictments and everything. I've seen like articles about the convictions, but what are you saying that in these trials, what do they testify to?
They had quotes specifically that they said that they had.
That's not going to happen.
They specifically said that they had human intelligence assets where people. I forget the specific term they use, but they
would both be unwilling, Steve. Totally, both of them. No, there's no way that they're not about any of that shit. Come on, stop the cap. Stop the cap.
Stop the cap.
Ain't about that shit.
People that were cooperating with the FBI, that was routinely contacting the FBI, that was giving them these quotes that were then used as quotes in the trials of these people to suggest that there was pre-planning of basically a coup or pre-planning of an attack on the Capitol. So if they had these quotes, what's that?
Yeah, so to be clear, I think, I don't think any of this is true. I think you're literally inventing all of this.
Well, I disagree, Destiny.
Destiny, we'll have to leave it there. I really appreciate everyone. Listen, I know there were some bumps along the road. We're trying to keep it a little bit more calibrated next time. I appreciate Rob, by the way. Speaking, I like it when Destiny and Rob get into it. But yeah,
we've been friends for years, right, Pisco? That's why you defended me on the rage quit thing, because we've been.
What's that?
I said we've been friends for years secretly, right, Destiny?
Yes, we went to high school together, and we actually we're in-laws, in fact, according to Destiny. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much, Destiny. I appreciate you hosting this. And
that's
again,
so cringe. That is overly cringe-worthy right there. Wow, that last bit, shit. But yeah, hey, much love, honor, respect to everybody. I'm glad that I'm able to, have a platform where we can go ahead and discuss these type of things. And of course, we're gonna have people on both sides. You know what I mean? A lot of the times, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on a lot of it. All we can do is really discuss it and. All of us be open to each other's worldviews, you know what I mean? And then, of course, have your own opinion, of course, you know what I mean? I tell people, guys, do your own research, do this, the more information, the better. Absolutely. I'm all about it. I'm not about gatekeeping any of that. If you guys enjoyed this video, man, please hit that like button. It's the #1 metric of all of YouTube, man. It really helps out the show way more than you guys even understand. And also check down below if you're subscribed. I got 40% of the audience that watches the Insane Wheels page that is not subscribed. So I very much appreciate that. Also follow me on my Instagram at BallValveTV. That's where I post everything behind the scenes of the show, and also myself. I just do some interesting shit, man. And I post it all over there on the stories and all the fun shit. I utilize everything over there. Thank you guys for donating to the show, man. All of you guys that show love and support and just being here, man, it means the absolute world. I can't thank you all enough from the bottom of my heart. We will see you guys tomorrow morning with another good episode, man. We're gonna just keep grinding to the top. You know what I mean? So thank you guys for supporting the show, and be safe out there. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on 2 wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar.